Okay, you're going to be writing an essay this time in Unit 2 that has a thesis statement in it. You wrote the memoir the last a couple of weeks ago, and you could basically start a memoir just starting off in a clever fashion, okay? But when you're moving into the more academic type essays that you can be writing in college and research papers, that kind of thing, you really need a thesis statement. You need an introduction that includes a thesis statement. So this is what I'm going to be talking about in this particular lecture. How do you write a thesis statement? How are you going to write a thesis statement for the Faulkner essay? Basically, what is a thesis statement? For most student work, it's a 1- or 2-sentence statement that explicitly outlines the purpose and point of your paper. So in the case of the Faulkner paper, you just got to take a position to say, hey, this is what I think about the Faulkner essay in terms of Marxism and feminism. But you're going to state it more academically than that, right? No eyes, no eyes. Generally, it's going to be a complex compound sentence. It's not just a statement of fact. It's a kind of an either-or thing, or on the one hand, then on the other hand, or sort of a because statement. We're going to get into that in a minute. So think of a complex sentence that really states your point of view that you're going to cover in the entire essay. What does it do? It actually points towards the development or the course of the argument that the reader can expect your argument to take. So basically, it outlines your essay. A good thesis statement sort of road maps the coming essay. It tells the reader what they can expect in the order that they can expect it. Where does it go? Sometimes when you're writing a 10 or 12 or 20-page research paper, it doesn't always go right at the very beginning, because sometimes you open up with storytelling type papers. You tell a story first, and then you get to your point finally. With a short essay, 3-4 pages, you don't do that, all right? So because the rest of the paper is going to support or back up your thesis, a thesis is normally placed at or near the end of the introductory paragraph. What does it contain? Thesis sentence must contain an arguable point. It's not a statement of fact. It's something that you're going to argue, something you're going to debate in the upcoming essay. Thesis statement must not simply make an observation. For example, writer X seems in his novel Y to be obsessed with lipstick. No, that's a good observation, but that's simply a statement of fact at this point. Look at this. Rather, it must assert a point that is arguable. Writer X uses lipstick to point to his novel's larger theme, the masking and unmasking of the self. Look, that's a complex statement that we can argue with. We can't argue with that he seems obsessed with lipstick, because it's mentioned all the way throughout the novel, all right? But instead, you've sort of discovered why the writer, in your opinion, you've discovered why the writer is using lipstick so much, okay? And then you state that. He or she is masking and unmasking the self with lipstick. Okay, what does it determine? It determines the entire argument. Thesis statement makes a point that you stick with through the entire paper. You have to cover what your thesis sentence states in the paper. That's its whole point, okay? It also determines what you cannot say. You cannot, in an essay, wander from the point. You must make your point at the very beginning in your thesis statement, and you stick to that. Now, you can have multiple points. You can have A, B, and C. Okay, that's fine. And then your paper unfolds A, B, and C. That's okay. But you can't have D. If you don't have a D in the thesis statement, you can't have D in the paper. Every paragraph in your paper exists for one reason only, and that's in order to support your thesis. That's what it does. Accordingly, if one of your paragraphs seems irrelevant to your thesis, you have either two choices. These are good choices. Either get rid of the paragraph, just drop it, or rewrite your thesis. You can rewrite your thesis at any time. It's never locked in stone, not until you turn in your final revision. So is it fixed in concrete? I just said that. No. All right. So you're writing your essay, and you're sort of thinking about what you're doing, and thinking about your thesis statement, and thinking about the essay, and thinking about what you've read. Then suddenly you say, aha, you have this aha moment. So, okay, don't throw away that aha moment. Just go back and rewrite your thesis. That accommodates this new idea. You've discovered that the protagonist in the novel also starts to put on more lipstick whenever they're feeling in crisis. Okay, so you throw that into the thesis statement. Basically, a thesis statement is a contract. You simply don't have a third option. You can't simply start talking about this idea, this new idea, without preparing the reader for it in your thesis. Your thesis is like a contract between you and the reader. That's what it does. It tells the reader what you're going to do, then you got to stick to that. All right. If you introduce ideas that the reader isn't prepared for, you've violated the contract. So very often in your essays, if I say you're wandering, that simply means you've gotten away from your thesis statement. So it provides a structure for your paper. Thesis statement should provide a structure for your argument. A good thesis not only signals to the reader what your argument is, but how your argument will be presented. It's the roadmap I was talking about. In other words, your thesis statement sentence should either directly or indirectly suggest the structure of your argument to the reader. A good thesis statement will cause good organization to your paper. Say, for example, that you're going to argue that writer X explores the masking and unmasking of the self in 3 curious ways, A, B, and C. Guess what? The reader understands you have 3 points you're going to cover in the essay, and you're going to cover them in that order. A first, B second, C last. All right? Other attributes takes a good paper is an argument. We're done with high school. We're not writing book reports anymore. We're not writing just these bland either-or pro-con papers. Okay, we're presenting an argument all the time. So you don't want to tell the reader something about something. You want to tell them what or why or how. Okay, you always want to be asking questions. How is this the case? Why is this the case? You're done with high school. You're done with that kind of writing. You know, I've read all that stuff. You've read all that stuff. You don't want to read it again. Instead, we want to know the critical thinking type questions. Why is this the case, we say? Or how does this really happen? That's what a good college paper is about, the how and the why. Thesis statements are very narrow. They confine your essay. The problem is never finding a good topic. The problem is narrowing the topic to an arguable point in paper length. Okay. And more attributes argues one main point and doesn't try to squeeze dozens of points into the paper, right? A good paper is well focused. And then most importantly, it passes the so what test. Does anybody really care? So what? So what? Ask yourself that. Read your thesis statement and say, well, who cares? So basically, you can do it like math. It's an equation. Thesis statements are basically made up of your topic plus a specific assertion about that topic. This is exactly what a thesis statement looks like. It's your topic plus a specific assertion about that topic. That's why and how I say it's a complex sentence. Summary, 4 shoulds of a thesis statement. A good thesis statement should take a stand. Don't be afraid to have an opinion. If after your research your opinion changes, all the better. It means you have been thinking. You can write a new thesis statement. When I say don't be afraid to have an opinion, don't be afraid to have an opinion that you can support. We don't care about your opinion, but we do care about the support for that opinion. Good thesis statement should justify discussion. Is this something we can, have a talk about, or is it just a duh point of view? Good thesis statement should express one main idea, so that over and over and over again, or it can express the relationship between 2 specific ideas. That's fine, linked by words like because or since, so, although, unless, or however. Okay, so you can have a complex sentence. You can combine a couple ideas, but it's still a central focus. Example. This is poor. Stephen King writes readable books. Everybody knows this. Okay, he's written billions of books. This is better. Stephen King's books are so good because they're about normal people who get into supernatural situations. Okay, so we're saying not that they're good. We're saying that, right? But we're also saying why they are good. This goes back to what I said about the how and the why. Good thesis statement would be restricted to a specific and manageable topic. Readers are more likely to reward a paper that does a small task well. Do a small task well rather than doing a paper that takes on a huge task and then flops at it. Okay? Thank you.